Hopefully you can hear us. We're live.
Yes.
This is Healthy Recipes served up on Libliga on, a day that's close to Halloween.
It is.
Oh,
you were trying to
the
think what day.
27th.
There
It's
you
the
go.
27th, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Tuesday. We know it's Tuesday because it's not if it's Tuesday, it's Meet the Press. It's if it's Tuesday, it's Healthy Recipes served up on
Yep.
Libliga.
And I'm looking at the door and I see one dog on the inside, one dog on the outside.
This may or may not work,
I
you
don't think
guys.
that was the
We'll
plan,
keep you
but that's
posted,
okay.
or they will. Yes, exactly. As you know, we have 2 puppies because we were insane and decided to get puppies in the midst of the life that we lead these days. And
Right.
so one's a little bit older than the other, and she is a little more behaved. But the 2 of them together can be lethal doses of happiness. So what can I say?
Yes.
So
that's true.
today it is cold outside. We have lots of snow, so it's the perfect day for what we're going to do.
Which is
What is it?
really good soup.
Be really good soup. So
Yeah.
this is a budget friendly. It's actually everything friendly because it's diabetes friendly, it's bariatric friendly, it's budget friendly.
It's to me what I think of as the soup I grew up on.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
that's probably maybe why I invented it.
Maybe so.
Yeah,
Well,
that's because
okay.
I wanted to meet
Yeah.
that need that we all have.
Yes.
But soups really are kind of good for the soul when it's cold outside and we need something comforting and cozy because they're also really actually very good for us, right? They've got wonderful nutrients.
Yes.
And-
they're anti-inflammatory.
Ooh, see, he's been
Yeah.
reading.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they're also very filling. So for those of us, hi there, welcome. For those of us who are really needing to be mindful of our weight and want to be mindful of what we're eating, it's healthy for us and it's also very filling.
Right.
So it does fill us up. Soups are kind of the best and easiest way to kind of have something that fills you up and satisfies you and keeps you full
Without
for
being
a while.
too caloric,
Exactly.
but being really healthy.
Exactly. And so this is a meat soup, so it's a vegetable beef soup, which so it has that added benefit of the protein of the meat to kind of satisfy you.
Right.
And we also, we always do it served up on Libliga. Today we're going to serve in our Vivente, which is this wonderful, again, serene, when we're needing comfy cozy. This is this wonderful slate gray and sort of calming green that's on it with these swirls. And you see on the inside, just to remind everybody, we have those fill lines for a cup and a cup and a half. And typically when we're serving up dinner, it's a cup and a half of soup. And so we have that built right in. So it makes it super easy to be mindful and to know what we're serving ourselves. And when you fill it up in this, what's the trick with Libliga?
Well, the shape of that bowl makes a cup and a half look like a lot. So you really think you perceive it as being even more than it is. So you really think there's a lot of soup in there.
And right now, when we're eating more than we should, and we're not eating the right kind of food, and particularly this week with Halloween, we have this added challenge of that candy in the grocery store every time we go down any aisle. It's on every cap, isn't it? What's great is to remind ourselves that we can have a healthy, wonderful, satisfying, very filling, and visually not only appealing, but visually plentiful meal of something healthy. So we'll counteract, wake up that next day and start all over with some healthy foods. And that's the wonderful thing about a soup too, is it's very flexible,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So,
And I will say, one of the things you serve with soup is frequently when we'll have a meal, we'll have muffins or something with
Yes,
it.
we do.
And I'm smelling the
so
aroma
he
of
would
the
like me
lemon.
to share.
Yes. Oh, they smell
These
so
are the
good.
Tuscan lemon muffins. The recipe is actually on our blog. And again, the vegetable beef soup recipe is on the blog. I think Cynthia, our trusty helper, is going to be sharing those links with you. But muffins they're sort of a treasure trove of happiness because they are easy to make. They're kind of single serve, so everybody gets a muffin. You can freeze them and get them out as you need. So these were in our freezer because I had made them previously and frozen the leftovers of what we had. And then I got them out today because I knew we were going to be having soup. So we'll have these luscious muffins. And they were, again, for an easy meal, you just get it out of the freezer and you bake them fresh, have them then, and then you have the rest in the freezer to get out as you like.
And they freeze well, and they're just delicious.
And they're also served up on Vivente. So we have a theme going on
yes,
here.
Yes.
And so those are our muffins. The wonderful thing about soups too is that, as we were sort of talking about, is they're flexible, and that means you can serve just a couple of people and have leftovers and freeze, or you can serve many with it. And depending on what you have available, so we'll be talking about that as we go through this, especially when you're dealing with budget-friendly meals. The thing that's so important to realize is you want to buy what's the deal at the grocery store, right? Whether it's the meat. So yesterday, when I got the meat that I did, it was called a sirloin tip, I think. It was buy one, get one free. And of course, you always have to pay attention to that and make sure you're getting a deal. It's, just seeing that doesn't mean necessarily it's a deal.
They may have doubled the price, that's right.
You do have to pay attention, but it was a good deal. And so I bought these 2 sirloin strips, and then they were about £1 each, which made it really easy, because sometimes you'll buy like a 3-pound hunk of meat that's appropriate, that's sort of like stew or soup meat, or can be done for a roast or whatever. I tend to have those in my freezer. The thing is, this only calls for a pound of it, so then you come home and you cut it up in those pounds, so it saves you a whole lot of expense of those smaller amounts of meat. But also the great thing is you don't have that waste of the covers and everything. So if you're being a little environmentally friendly, buy the bigger, cut it up, and freeze it in your Tupperware.
So we will go ahead and wrap it and mark on it what it is and what the date is, and that way you don't sort of get lost in the freezer.
Yeah, he's really good at that, so that we can make sure we're keeping track of things, because things can get old in the freezer if it gets lost in the bottom. So should we let her out? Sorry, we've got to deal with the puppy dog thing. So the meat was something that we bought as a deal, and we put the buy one, the get second one in the freezer for later when we'll make this soup again or something else that requires a pound of beef. And this looks like a nice cut of meat. And then the other thing is the types of potatoes you get. Sometimes you can get a 10-pound bag, and that's again when things like soups are great, or you can even do a potato soup. We have a recipe for that on our blog as well, or a link to it. So that's another thing to be mindful of. And then there are deals for canned beans and canned tomatoes. And this is crushed tomatoes. This is really fine. It's almost like a sauce, which is okay. I like the chunkier version, but this is what we had that we got a deal on, and it's organic, so you feel nice and healthy just looking at that. And then I love Great Northern beans in my soup. They're kind of bigger, and they're a lighter color than some other beans. So I don't know, in a vegetable beef stew, it kind of complements the other vegetables. But honestly, you could put any bean that you prefer in it. There's no rule about beans that you have.
Right.
And so again, this time of year, there tend to be sales on cans of beans. Buy 10, get them for $1 a piece or something like that, or less, depending on your beans. And then the other thing, and this is kind of a funny story. Do you mind getting the vegetables out of the freezer?
I know exactly where they are.
He knows exactly where they are. So these are frozen mixed vegetables. This to me is one of the ways that you end up with a super easy vegetable beef soup, or other kind of vegetable soup that calls for mixed vegetables, because you don't have to chop them up. This from a budget-friendly
was a 3-pound bag.
It's actually 5 pounds.
Oh, 5 pounds.
It's a 5-pound bag, and Walt actually got it when I had a knee problem, so I could put it on my knee, but it was way too big and too heavy that it hurt my knee. So we had this in the freezer, and honestly, I developed this recipe because I had this 5-pound bag of frozen vegetables. I was like, what am I gonna do with this? And so I thought, we should have a really good vegetable beef soup.
And the scary thing is, this goes back to what, like April of 2015?
Are you really gonna do not confess that? We haven't had this in the freezer for a while. So, 5 pounds. Think about it. It takes a while to get through. So we're using 2.5 cups of that today. But I just, this was a heck of a deal.
It was a big bag.
When you get a big bag, just the volume discount on that is great, and then the timing of it. So again, just trying to be sensitive to particularly this time of year, and all the other things we spend our money on, as well as, you know, the challenges with COVID and jobs and all the other pennies that we have to spend on things that, you know, we may be furloughed or may have other challenges with our family that need help. So I just, this to me is a wonderful, heartwarming recipe that really does help you stretch those pennies.
Yes.
So I think we should get going on putting this together on this cold. I mean, literally, we got how many inches of snow?
Here, probably close to, I don't know, 9, 10,
Yeah.
something.
A lot of
A lot of
inches.
snow.
And our littlest puppy, she's 5 months old. This was really her first encounter with a whole bunch of snow. She may have seen some up in the mountains, but not like this. And she was, you know how dolphins kind of go like this? Well, the snow was so high that Cassie was kind of doing that too.
Right.
And we actually had a huge scare. We have a cabin up in the mountains, and it's still not over, but it was 1.5 miles. There was a fire created, and it jumped the
Huge
Continental
fire.
Divide and came down into Estes Park, which is where we have this, you know, many generations family place. And it was 1.5 miles away by the time they were able to kind of stop it and not allow it to progress, and the snow came. So the snow we think of as just this wonder.
Fortunately, we got about 18 inches of snow up there, and that really did smother, at least for the moment. It certainly slowed it down for a couple days.
So on top of everything else, we have these fires in Colorado. They have them in California, and I'm sure other places. There, you know, Zeta is, you know, coming towards the coast again. So we have these phenomenon also. So that's why soup is good for our hearts and our stomachs, because we need this kind of comfort food right now. So anyway, we are going to start here. You need a slow cooker. Or a crock pot, depending on, a lot of my recipes are under crock pot, because when I started this years ago, it kind of still was the thing to call this a crock pot. And actually, crock pot started around Kansas City, so we have a great affection for the name crock pot, and that company Rival that started the whole thing. So we have an All-Clad, and this is a free advertisement for them, but dear friends, every time I get it out, I tell this story, gave it to us. But the reason why is because you can lift out the center and actually put it directly on the stovetop.
So it's not crockery, it actually is
steel
metal,
or something, right?
Aluminum. But
aluminum, coated aluminum. But the thing that's wonderful about this is literally it's a one-pot meal. So we're going to be able to brown everything in here, then put it in and add all the other ingredients, and then let it slow cooker. So we're going to start, and we start with the browning of the onion. One of the dilemmas that a lot of recipes have is you want to sear your meat because it sears in the juices, kind of makes it more attractive looking as the soup cooks. Do you do that first, take it out, then do your onions and your garlic, or do you do it the other way around? I'm the other way around gal. And you're going to say, Sheila, why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Well, thank you for asking that question. I think it actually makes the beef taste better because you've got the onions and the garlic infusing the meat, right? On top of which, then you don't have to, rather than taking things in and out, sometimes if you're coating with flour, it makes sense. So you want to be able to do it separately if you're browning with flour.
Don said the side of the camera is blocked a little bit.
Oh no, I think it's because you don't have the thing on the right.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do? Okay. Well, we're going to try and fix this. Sorry that we're a little blocked. Walt's going to reposition I think you just need it over.
That's big. No, I think I've got it.
Oh, there we go. Is that better?
I don't think I can do it with that.
Can someone tell us if it's better?
Okay.
How we repositioned it? So hopefully it is. So anyway, we're going to start with the onion and the garlic. We're going to put this on the stove and heat up I'm going to start it on high so I get it, and then we're going to lower it. I'm doing that. So we need a tablespoon of
Well, I can do that.
oil, and then we're going to add the onion and the garlic. And as you know, I'm trying to prep most of this ahead of time just so we're not spending time making lots of loud noises as we're talking to you. So we're going to start with this. gonna be able to saute it for a couple of minutes. You want it to start looking a little translucent. It's okay if it browns a little bit, you know, but
So I'm going to start with the onion, and then I'll
yeah,
add the
but
garlic.
just make sure it's
after.
hot enough. I like to hear a little sizzle
Yeah.
when I put the onion in, and then you turn it down, you know, to like medium
Yeah,
high or
yeah.
something.
I'll wait till I see the shimmer on the oil.
Oh, thank you, thank you. And then we're gonna add the meat, and again the onions rather than buying one at a time. And again, it depends on how many people you're feeding. But onions and potatoes, those kinds of things, they last for a while. We store them in a cool place. So we have a pantry up here, right there, because I couldn't operate without a pantry. Particularly right now, I tend to have a pandemic pantry. So if for some reason we were kind of locked down for a little while, I would be able to still feed my family. I'm like that. But we have a freezer and we have this nice pantry. And the pantry, we have the ability to have tubs on the floor, and in those tubs we have the onions and the potatoes. And we have different types of potatoes because we love those fingerling potatoes that you can roast and make with other dinners, and those last. So that's the scoop on potatoes, because again, you can buy a 10-pound bag. It's more economical, and then you get to keep it and use them as you need them. So I'm going to put this over here too. And this again is a pound of that. And I've cut everything up. I've chopped. I don't like really coarse, but I chopped the onion. It's not a fine mince by any means. I did mince the garlic. And then this is a nice, you know, sort of cut 1 inch cube of the meat. That does look like nice meat.
Yeah, it does.
I sort of felt proud that I found that deal. You know how you do? You feel so like, oh, I'm so proud of myself for finding that. And then once that's done, we're going to put it here, and then we're going to add the remaining ingredients, except for the vegetables. The vegetables, because you really don't, I think one of the problems, we were sort of, at our early growing up, we were still in that part of our culture that cooked everything to death, and vegetables particularly. So I'm kind of sensitive about that because I think vegetables taste so much better. They're actually sweet. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but vegetables that are cooked just to au point, as they say, you know, not too cooked, they actually have a sweetness to them. You know, they're basically all vegetables. They're so good. So, so these I get out, and they can totally defrost. There's nothing wrong with that. And then I put them in about a half an hour before the end, and then put it up on high on the slow cooker, and then they heat up. And then it's ready to serve. So you haven't really cooked them to death. You just put them in and cook them a little bit at the end of the 7 to 8 hours, depending on how long you're going to cook your soup. I will say, Walter says, particularly with this soup, every time we make it, that it's better the next day. So this is what
Almost true with every soup, but it's
Yeah.
so true.
the
with
flavorings, you know, they just keep working, you know, and they work together. I think part of it is also how they meld and blend together even more so with time. So we love having this as leftovers. And you know, you can, this is about 6 servings, so for us it's 2 meals worth in our family here. And so it's just kind of the right amount. You can always double the recipe if you need to, you know, to stretch it for more people, or if you want to freeze more. So, you know, make one batch, as it were, and then make 2 or 3 or 4 meals, again, depending on how many you're serving. So
Right,
again,
so-
it's flexible that way.
So the onions are, they were sort of sweating, they'd been in for 3 or 4 minutes, and I added the garlic.
Is
And
it smelling yet?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
that's the other way I test it, is, you know, if it starts smelling like garlic and onion, because, you know, there's no greater, better smell in a kitchen than olive oil and garlic together. Don't you agree?
I
It just
agree.
makes you feel like you're cooking something delicious. So, so if it's smelling
Well,
good.
the garlic's not, we'll give it another 2 minutes.
Okay, so he's going to cook it a couple more minutes. And then I'm going to open up the broth. It says 2 cans of 14-ounce broth if you're following along in the recipe. Of course, it makes more sense to get kind of these bigger
Boxes.
carton?
Yeah.
I think you call this a carton. And sometimes I think in French and I have to think in English for some of these words that I learned in French or whatever. My days in the Peace Corps. So, because we have a lot of these cartons, because they kind of stabilize food and they last a really long time on a shelf in a place where you have no refrigeration. So we're gonna do 28 ounces of this, which is nearly all of this, honestly. And the beef broth just, makes it taste so good. This is unsalted. I put salt in, but again, I'm controlling it rather than, so I try and get beans and the tomato, whether it's crushed tomatoes or diced tomatoes, I try and get those with low salt. Or this is actually kind of new. It used to be low salt and now it says unsalted. I noticed that for the first time. I don't know if you all have had this for a while, but it actually says unsalted. So I'll put my teaspoon of salt in, but that's all you need. So instead of everything else having the salt added, I add my own salt and that way I control it. So I'm doing 28 ounces. I just gotta read it for the last bit here. And then we've got the beef broth. So, makes it super easy. You can also do, the bone broth, the beef bone broth if you want. That just is a slightly richer. So again, depending on your preference and then what's on sale or the best buy, they're great. Right now, I think it's kind of hard to find these things. I kind of buy them as when I find them because I think there's been kind of a run on them at the grocery store. So, and then obviously I'll refrigerate that. So how's it going?
So I put the meat in, and I'm now stirring it, so I try to get the meat on the bottom so I'll get a little seared.
Good. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's mainly just to try and sear it to at least 2 sides, and then 3 or 4, depending on your patience. Honestly, this is a step that can, again, vary depending on your patience and your preference. So the other thing I was hoping with those of you who are watching, if you want to share your favorite soup, whether you have a link or not, but just, what soups do you love in the wintertime or the fall? And I think that's fun for us to share recipes in terms of the types of soups that we love. And I also do chili. We have some chili recipes that are really delicious, whether it's meatless or with ground beef or turkey. They're kind of soup-like. They're not exactly. We're going to have that for Halloween coming up. We're going to have what's sort of our tradition in this family. It's Aunt Julia's chili, something I learned a long time ago from a dear family friend, and she did sort of feed the masses. So it's one that you can vary depending.
She had a big family.
She had a very big family, and somehow they were always friends for dinner. I qualified as one of those.
Yeah.
And it's a delicious chili, so that's what we're going to be making on Saturday. And other soups. Do you have other soups that you can think of that are sort of your favorites in terms of hot soups? I know he's a gazpacho guy, but that's more in summertime. But you could have gazpacho hot, I guess. But
When vichyssoise is another cold one with meat.
I got you on the wrong track.
You did. So one thing that Mom did that that we haven't done forever is a consommé. What did she call it? But it was a chicken consommé with just a touch of tomato in it and a slice of lemon on top.
Oh,
yeah,
so that's very nice.
Yes.
I thought he was going to say chicken soup, you guys, because I
thought
make
you already said that.
a mean chicken soup.
And another favorite is mulligatawny.
Oh, and mulligatawny. Yes, he loves mulligatawny.
Yeah.
So we have a variety of soups that we love making in the wintertime. And none of them are too difficult. I'm definitely not a complicated cook. That's it. Yes, I had that growing up too. That reminds me of my growing up. So this we're actually getting started. Usually we finish up a meal and then eat it in front of you, which is way more fun than what we're doing tonight.
We have to cook dinner twice.
But I really wanted to show you assembling. The other way we don't ever get to show you, and this way we kind of get to talk about all the different components and actually assemble it to show you how truly easy this recipe is. And again, what we're going to do is cook this since we're starting later tonight. It's 5:30 our time. We're going to cook it for maybe 4 hours, and then we'll refrigerate it overnight. And then I can finish it up tomorrow with these vegetables, and it'll actually taste really good. So we're going to actually eat this tomorrow night.
Yes.
That's the scoop.
So it'll be a 2-part.
It's a 2-part process for us, but a super easy one because you just put the insert into the refrigerator. We're gonna let it cool for a little while, because it's not as good if you put it in hot to the refrigerator. But we'll cool it and then put it in the refrigerator and get it out kind of mid-afternoon tomorrow and finish it up. And it'll be a delicious dinner for us. And as we watch the snow outside and turn the fire on and
Yes, yes.
do that. So
So I'm very close to having brown two sides.
yes, I think you're good.
We're okay?
I think you are.
Okay.
So the other thing is we're going to be putting bay leaves. We put 2 in. So a lot of recipes call for 1. I love the kind of the rich flavor that bay leaf brings. So we put 2 in. And these are the one thing you need to remember to fish out, because you don't want anybody eating this with the soup. So we'll get 2 of these out. And
So I'm putting this over in the,
yes, please. So, and I also, these are jars that I keep because they fit nicely in our spice drawer, but we refill it with, you know, the bay leaf that we find that we like, and we fill it in here. So, another trick of the trade,
Yes.
huh? Okay, so we're gonna put, can I have this?
do you want to turn your pot on or is it okay?
We'll do that. I always put everything together and then put it on.
Okay.
So we're putting, these are the potatoes, and it's like a pound of potato. And I had this funny, really huge 1 potato that I almost didn't want to cut it up so I could show you guys. It was like kind of flat and broad that was in my bag. I've never had one quite like that, but it was sort of very authentic looking. It was great. With this, we're going to put in the refrigerator and just put in tomorrow. But we're going to put this is that 28 ounces of beef broth. And we're going to put in that can, this is the crushed but diced is really kind of what it calls for, but it's tomato and it's going to taste delicious, and it's
And again, you can kind of use whatever.
you really can, you know.
Could be diced, could be crushed, could be.
The one thing I don't mess around with as much are the herbs. You know, you do have to know what you're doing in the sense of adding. Certainly add the things that you love, but in the amounts I would follow like with the salt and pepper. I wouldn't overdo it. Oh, where is the? Also, to be mindful, like to continue to be mindful of it being heart healthy. For instance, you want to, you know, be lower on the salt. So we're doing a teaspoon here, and then we're doing a half teaspoon of pepper, and we've got our 2 bay leaves already out. These are kind of small, actually. So it's good. We're doing 2. And then we've got the beans, and we're going to put the beans in now. And these are rinsed. They're, for instance, with the chili recipe, I don't rinse anything. I put it all in just because it's like the super easiest of them. But I think they do taste better if you rinse them.
Right. And the other trick is we've recently started doing our own beans
Thanks
from
to
dry.
Shelby Kennard.
Yes, exactly.
Because your Instant Pot is made for making dried beans into luscious, delicious beans.
And they
that you
really
can
do
cook with.
taste different and better. So I mean, it is, and it's easy to do a whole batch and then freeze some, and so you have kind of the right amount left over for.
Okay, so here we go.
Each of
We're going
the
to be on
recipes.
low, and we're, you know, normally it would be 8 hours, and you just push it here. I'm going to leave it like that, and then I'm just going to unplug it later on tonight, and then we'll put it back on.
Right.
So we got to get the top, and then you know, you could always serve this with a salad, like a simple green salad, and a muffin. I also think if you just want to make it really simple, you know, you got the fire roaring, just imagine you got some lovely music going, and you just have this, you know, your bowl of soup and a muffin. It's like a pretty perfect,
Yeah, totally.
pretty perfect dinner. So that's what we're going to have tomorrow night. We're going to have these lemon muffins. And again, the recipe is on the blog, blog.lovelegahome.com. And we're going to serve it up on our Vivente, and then we're going to serve the soup in here for a cup and a half.
I'm ready.
And then we do give some of the bone broth soups that we have on the website. So Cynthia, I think, is going to share with you. We have a wonderful chicken soup. We also have a turkey broth, a bone broth soup with vegetables that's really yummy. And you know, after Thanksgiving, you have the leftovers of the turkey, the carcass, and it's perfect for making bone broth, and the extra meat that's left on is perfect for soup. So that's, you know, something.
Turkey bone and root vegetables.
I know. People laugh at that name. It's a little, I guess, dramatic sounding, but it's
it really-
an
it does
honest,
taste good.
authentic soup.
Yes, yes.
And
Very
then
tasty.
there's also a lamb. So anybody loves lamb, we have a bone broth lamb soup that is just heavenly. There's only one thing I've ever discovered that I don't like, you guys. So we do vary our what we eat, because it's the adventure of it. That's why we're doing what we're doing. We want to eat healthy, and we want everyone to come along the adventure with us as we discover new things and new ways of doing things. So we do have those links to give you some additional muffins. Like there's a maple squash muffin.
It's really good.
That's so good. I'm gonna actually
very
have to make
fall-like.
that. And very fall-like. So I tried to think of an apple and spice muffin as well. I think we have some of those in the freezer.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's the other one that I made that's in the freezer. So these are really fun with soups and any other thing if you have a brunch and you want to do it. Because sometimes even if we're in our own small bubble, it's, you know, great to think of a Sunday brunch or think of sort of special things we can do to cheer ourselves up and keep making life special even in these strange times we're living in. So I hope you will try this soup out and tell us what you think, and enjoy it with some muffins, and maybe someday we'll set ourselves up on Zoom and we can all sit down to a lovely meal together.
Sounds like fun.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, totally.
So the other thing we want to mention, I think I've covered all of the tips that I wanted to cover. And but there are a couple of other things I wanted to mention. One is we have these bundles now that we really created when the pandemic hit, because we thought it was a great way for people to save pennies, but to actually get the tools and the beautiful tableware that they needed to forge ahead with healthy eating and being mindful. So we do have these bundles, and we currently have a really fun seasonal bundle that's a healthy holiday baking bundle.
And you save a lot of money with them.
You save a lot of money, and it includes free shipping, you guys. So we think it's a great deal. It's a great gift for yourself or for someone you love, and it's sort of the things you need, like the Live spoons. We have some dish towels that are beautiful. Celebrate everyday dish towels, and the Avec bowl that's just wonderful for not only like when you have batters and things like for the muffins to use to prepare your batters, but it's also beautiful to serve soups up in, and then salads and other things that you might be preparing for.
And one of the things you
meals.
may not see is when you're actually on our website and you go to purchase it, there are options. And when you look
that's a
at,
great
there's
point.
an option menu that drops down, and you add all sorts of things literally at half their normal price. So
you can get
it's
a
a
celebrate, 16-piece set for 50% off if you're getting the bundle. So it's a heck of a deal.
It really is.
It
a
really
great way
is. And a great setup for the holidays is what we were thinking. So we wanted to mention that.
Yes.
And then we want to sign off by mentioning that next month we'll have our healthy recipes served up on Libliga.
The week before Thanksgiving.
Exactly, because we're trying to help you prep for that. And we have a great new recipe that we think you'll love, which is a sweet potato casserole
It's so good.
that uses pineapple juice instead of the sugars, the refined sugar that we often have in our sweet potato casseroles. So it's really delicious and worthy,
Interesting
company
flavor,
worthy.
right, but really good.
And so that's on Tuesday, November 17th at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time, just like today. And
We'll be on standard time at that point.
oh my gosh, I know it's coming.
Yep.
Change
This weekend.
of time again.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for joining us. We salute everyone out there who is slugging away and cooking more meals and trying to stay healthy. I'm
Yes.
with you. I'm with you. I have been so challenged with this, and hopefully we'll just keep sharing together and preparing these wonderful meals and sitting down to healthy, cozy, comfort food that's good for our hearts and our stomachs.
And our souls.
And here to our souls.
Yes.
So take care. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
And happy Halloween. Hope you can enjoy it in whatever unique ways we're doing this year. So take care.
Bye-bye.